Let's answer a question here from Jen.
My name is Jen. I'm from the Pittsburgh area. I was calling in because I wanted to bring some awareness to other families, special needs families in particular, that may not be able to participate in family vacations over the summer and throughout the year, really. Recently, we had a situation come up with one part of our family where we were completely left out of the vacation planning. Everybody else in our family was basically able to go and invited to go except for us. The main reason that came up was because they didn't believe that we were going to be able to get my daughter on a plane because I guess they're afraid it might be a stressful situation. My daughter has never had a chance to ride on a plane. She's never been in an airport. So while this could be somewhat of a stressful situation for her, she hasn't even had the chance to prove whether it would be or not. So because of that, we were basically completely left out of a vacation. And despite all of the past conversations that we've had with our families about how isolating regular everyday activities and planning and play dates and things like that can be, the fact that our family had deliberately left us out of a vacation without even asking if we would want to be a part of it was really, really hurtful. We were having a lot of trouble kind of seeing our way past this because, you know, your family is supposed to be the most supportive people in your life and in your children's life growing up. However, this most recent situation has kind of left us at a loss of, you know, who can we really trust and rely on to keep us included, keep my daughter feeling included, and always make sure that, you know, we're together as much as we possibly can be. We feel like there's no understanding and very little trust left. So we're really just struggling, looking for some clarity and a way to find peace so that we can move on with our family and keep them a part of our lives.
John, there's a struggle here. Mm-hmm. And it's really rough because we often desire the desire of others, as our friend Peter Rollins would talk about, right? I think it's a Schopenhauer quote. But when we don't actually get to desire our own desires. But here's an observation I've learned in my own life, whether it's with material possessions or with relationships, or I want someone to react a particular way to me. I want you to be impressed, or I want you to include me. These are desires that are legitimate desires, but every new desire is like a new bar to my own prison cell in a way. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have desires. I certainly have desires, right? A couple episodes ago, we talked about Anthony DeMello, and when he talks about the two different types of desires within sort of Buddhist philosophy. And one of these desires is, I'm going to be upset if I don't get it. And that's really where Jen is here. Those family members, even if they're trying to upset you, which I don't think is the case, even if they're trying to upset you, you still get to determine whether or not they upset you.
There's nothing harder than looking at our loved ones and realizing they have opted out of relationship with us. And you have to enter into a season of grief. Otherwise, you are choosing to let those shoulds and those desires bury you. Right. And I think entering into grief is letting go of what I hoped would happen, what I wanted to happen, and just accepting this is what happened. Right. And when you can do that, from that ash is where you build what comes next, which is we feel like we've lost trust. You have. We feel like they've just abandoned us. They did. And you've got to sit there, and it's the worst, and it's uncomfortable, and it's lonely. And it's from that ash that the soil is fertile. So you're going to have to find a gang, people that aren't afraid to try. You're going to have to get a community and a tribe that is not one that you're attached to by blood, but that you choose, right? That's the work ahead of you. And so be it.
Yeah. I'm a big advocate of just that one last punch you want to throw in case you have a puncher's chance of getting a knockout, even though you've gotten clubbed many different times in the match and you're on your heels. So I don't believe you need to fight forever. But here's one thing, if you haven't already done, I might try to say. I might say to the family, hey, it is what it is, but I do want it on the record. I'm not happy with what happened. And I understand that sometimes you're going to make decisions that might exclude me. Sometimes I'm not going to agree with those reasons. Sometimes those reasons might be understandable. But I would appreciate it if going forward, if you're going to do that, you own it and be honest about it up front. You look me in the eye and say, hey, we're going to plan a family vacation in a way that does not accommodate the special needs of your family. We are going to prioritize doing it this way. And you guys might end up being left out as a result of that. At least look me in the eye and own it and be upfront and honest about what you're going to do. And don't perpetuate the myth, the illusion, the perception that we're all cool and vacations is something we do together. And then I have to find out after the fact, like somebody who isn't even part of the family's decision-making process, that, oh, you guys chose to prioritize this and I couldn't weigh in on that. You know, that's not only embarrassing to be put in that situation, but it's off-putting. And I would at least get that on the record. To John's point, however, part of what's going to make this hurt so much is that there is this expectation that vacation is something we do together. And if they're not down with communicating honestly, it might be best to kill the expectation in the eyes of your children and start a new tradition by saying, hey, for family vacations, it's going to be us every year.
Yeah.
It's just going to be us. And we can hang out with the rest of the family for Christmas and all those other things. But for summer vacations or whatever this tradition is, it's going to be us. And then you don't have to deal with what they decide every year, and you can just create your own expectations.
Yeah. I just want to highlight how important it is to like clear a list like that on someone, because we carry these lists and we don't ever say anything. And then it creates tension when you're around them. So on the men's team that I'm on, at the very beginning, one of the questions that's asked is, hey, does anyone have any lists to clear? And the way it works, let's say that it's like it's to clear the space and make sure everyone's present, everything's good. So what happened, the way the format is you would say, oh, I have a list to clear on so-and-so. And if you're in person, you like go up to the man and you're like on his heart, like, hey man, I've something that I got to get off my chest. And it's more of a bonding than it is a, putting down or insulting or like, pushing someone away. It's like bringing them closer. But basically it's like, hey, here's what happened. So it's not like you are this type of person. It's just an observation of what happened. And here's how it made me feel. It made me feel X, Y, and Z. And I'm willing to let that go. And then after you let it go, then the list is cleared and you can, carry on as usual and kind of get that off your chest. Sometimes you're not ready to let it go, and that's okay too. And if that's the case, and you say, I'm not ready to let it go, but I'm willing to like clear the space right now so we can have a good men's team meeting. So clearing that list is so important, man. Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.